Ooh, yeah. It's Auntie Mickey's house. Oh yeah, yeah. Auntie Mickey's house. Auntie's house. You're in the house. You know you're in the house. Come on in and grab a seat, grab a seat. Come on in and hit that light, hit that light. Oh, you're Aunt Mickey's house. Auntie Mickey's house. Grab a seat, prop your feet. Let's sip some tea, sip that tea. Entertainment, news and spirituality. From the culture to the fun, Auntie sets the tone. Sets the tone. With a laugh and a truth, she holds the throne. She holds the throne, yeah. Auntie Mickey's house. Come on in now. Auntie Mickey's house. Oh, Auntie's house. You're in the house. You know you're in the house. Come on in and grab a seat, yeah, yeah. Come on in and hit that like, don't forget now. Auntie Mickey's house. She can roast with a smile, drop wisdom too. Break down the headlines, bring it straight to you. Straight to you, baby. Community strong, conversation grown. Grown talk, baby. Auntie Mickey's house, make yourself at home, yeah. Come together, every voice is heard. Every voice. Respect the vibe, let's share the word. Oh, yeah. From the jokes to the prayer, she keeps it real. Keeps it real. Auntie Mickey's house, that's the deal. That's the deal, baby. Auntie Mickey's house. Auntie's house. Oh yeah. Auntie Mickey's house. Auntie's house. Come on in the house. You know you're in the house. Come on in and grab a seat. Grab a seat. Come on in and hit the light. Hit the light. Hit the light. You're at Auntie Mickey's. Yeah, yeah. Auntie Mickey's house. Auntie Mickey's. Auntie Mickey's house. Auntie Mickey's house. It's Auntie Mickey's house. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Auntie Mickey's house. Auntie's house. You're in her house. You know you're in her house. Come on in and grab a seat. Grab a seat, come on in and hit that light. Hit that light. Oh, you're at Auntie Mickey's. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Auntie's house. Auntie's house. Auntie's house. Grab a seat, drop your feet, let's sip some tea. Sip that tea. Entertainment, news and spirituality. From the culture to the fun, Auntie sets the tone. With a laugh and a truth, she holds the throne. She holds the throne, yeah. Auntie's house. Oh, Auntie's house. You know you're in her house. Come on in and grab a seat, yeah. Come on in and hit that light, don't forget. Auntie Mickey's. Auntie Mickey's house. Auntie Mickey's house. Oh yeah, yeah. She can roast with a smile, drop wisdom too. Break down the headlines, bring it straight to you. Straight to you, baby. Community strong, conversation grown. Don't talk, baby. Auntie Mickey's house. Make yourself at home, yeah. Come together, every voice is heard. Every voice. Respect the vibe, let's share the word. Oh yeah. From the jokes to the prayer, she keeps it real. Keeps it real. That's the deal. That's the deal, baby. Yeah, yeah. Auntie Mickey's house. Auntie's house. Oh yeah. Auntie Mickey's house. auntie, come on in and hit that light. Hit the light on your way to Auntie Mickey's. Yeah. Auntie Mickey's house. Auntie Mickey's house. Auntie Mickey's house. Ooh.
Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, ooh-wee. How y'all doing? Happy, what is this? Tuesday. Oh my God. Geriatricity has kicked in already. How y'all doing tonight? I hope you had a wonderful Tuesday. And, man, the weather is grimy, but hey, we still in the land of the living, nevertheless, I got to say. How you doing, Barbara? Hello, Mr. Phillips. Hello, Rachel Haynes. And of course, I see my husband chilling up there at the top of the list. How y'all doing this evening? Oh, goodness. It's so good to see you guys. I have a very, very touchy topic tonight. Nothing like last night. Nothing like last night. But nevertheless, it's still... It really is a touchy subject with me because I know a few people that have lost loved ones having a baby. Having a baby. You go into the hospital to have a baby, and it's one of the most exciting, wonderful things that could ever happen to you in your life. You don't walk out of the hospital with that baby. You don't walk out at all. The baby might, but you may not. Especially in this country, if you're African American, chances are more so than not, well, more so than other communities, they get a little bit better attention. We'll put it like that. Hello, Camille. Hi, Donna. How's it going? How's it going? You know what? Before I do anything, I need to take a little poll. I know there's not a lot in the room right now, but we just going to start out with this one. Because I'm getting kind of tired of these glasses. And I'm thinking maybe looking for another pair that's a little bit different. I need to take a poll, okay? So, I don't even hardly wear these that much, but I grabbed Uncle Barry's glasses. Now, he's got better eyesight than me. Do these make me look older? Or do they look better than the other ones? I kind of like these better, but I don't want big plastic anymore. I like metal frames. And for some reason, I gravitated to these, but they're kind of like the Ben Franklin look. So, anybody that likes these, put a 1 in the chat. If you like the other ones better, put a 2 in the chat. We're going to see. We're going to see what the poll says. Yeah, babe, I took your glasses for a minute. I just needed to see what I look like in them, and I kind of like them, but Donna said number 2. She likes the big ones better. Hello, Millionaires Cove. Yeah, it's between, well, I don't like them skinny. 1 and 2? Okay, boo. I know you're gonna be neutral either way. But I promise I'll put your glasses back. Do you even remember where you laid them down? I almost sat on them. Got to be more careful. Thank you, Donna. There's a pair that we have here at the house that they're this size, but they're metal, but they're not reading glasses. I just can't. I can't see out of them. These are reading glasses, but when I take them off, my vision is kind of blurry. So, but it's good for reading. You said nope, honey. You left them at the foot of the bed, ready to be sat on. I would have broke these things in half if I'd have set my big butt. Woo! But I promise I would have replaced them. I promise. I'm going to keep them right here on my desk in case you're looking for them when you come home later. How about that? Anyway. Yeah, everybody, I'm getting a lot of 1s and 2s, so it's kind of, let me see. I may have to do something about that. Can I see there? No, I can't see the chat with these. I need something longer view. These are the Ben Franklin glasses. Benjamin Franklin. Oh goodness, the nose is all discombobulated. Nah, I'll pass. I'll have to get me some more. Yeah, that's kind of hard to see. Yeah, I can't work with these. But I like the frames. I just need them a little bit wider. Anyway, enough of the chit chat about glasses. Hello, Beverly Carr. How are you, sweetie? Hi, the Khadijah. Khadijah's a bush baby. Oh, I thought your hair was on fire. Oh, that's my name. No, it's not on fire, but it makes it look red, doesn't it? That's actually pink. That's a pink. One of my mods bought that for me several months ago when I first set up my little office, and she bought that as a gift for me. And I said, oh, that would be so nice for my live streams. So yeah, it does look like my hair is on fire though. Just set it right there and back up a little bit. Yep, I'm on fire. And the hair looks red. My hair is not red, it's brown, but boy, it looks red right now. I thought your hair was on fire. City life got jokes. Okay. Well, aside from all that, I like that though. I really do. You look sophisticated in these two. Thank you, Millionaires Code. You're so sweet. You are so sweet. But I tell you, I was looking at the news today, and I don't generally follow the news anymore unless it's on YouTube. But I caught a story about a young lady who she went to the hospital and she was in labor. Her name was Mercedes Wells. She lives in Crown Point, Indiana. And she was in labor. No, you didn't, Mr. Phillips. No, don't you tell me you almost burnt up that ham. Bless your heart. I'm glad you said almost. Is it salvageable? Because today is Tuesday. You still got Wednesday. You can go get another one if you have to. Got to be more careful, Mr. Phillips. Got to be more careful. But anyway, what I was saying is about Mercedes Wells. Mercedes Wells was in labor. This wasn't her first child, so she knew what to expect. So her partner took her to the hospital. Let's see, he took her to Franciscan Health in Crown Point. Took her to that hospital. And when she got into the hospital, clearly she's in labor. It was tender. Oh my goodness. Crisp is good. Oh wow, I would have loved to taste that. Man, that sounds so good. I like a crisp skin. I love it. So Mercedes is in labor and she's there sitting in the wheelchair for a good 10 minutes or so. And I guess they checked her out and told her that, oh, you're only 3 centimeters. 30 centimeters. You're only 3 centimeters. Only. Clearly, she's in labor. At 3 centimeters, you're in labor. And then they told her that she had to go, that they couldn't. They told her that they had to discharge her because she wasn't far and long enough. She wasn't dilated enough, which is ridiculous to me. So her mother and her partner, of course, upset. But nevertheless, this young lady is in labor, in excruciating pain. Anybody that's had a baby naturally knows what that pain feels like. It is no joke. I can recall my first child, and I almost took my husband's head off. I must have dug my nails into his skin so deep. He was ow, 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 ow. Hello, Crystal. How are you, sweetie? But imagine going into the hospital about to have this beautiful gift. Oh my, you forgot it was in the oven. Jesus. I'm glad you remembered. But imagine going into the hospital expecting to give birth. No problems out there, Just go in and, yeah, you're going to have pain, but when it's over with, you're going to have a beautiful reward. Only to be escorted out of the hospital, out of the emergency room, telling her that she's not dilated enough and she'll have to come back later. 8 minutes later, 8, she had her baby on the side of the road on her way to another hospital. That's a travesty. I just couldn't imagine to be kind of pumped off like that. But that seems to be an ongoing trend in this country. And it has been for some time. Black women have been screaming from the hilltops about the disparaging treatment that they're getting in healthcare, especially when it comes down to pregnancy, labor and delivery of that nature. They're just kind of pawned off as being overdramatic if they express too much that they're in pain. Absolutely, millionaire's code. That is the worst pain. I'm going to tell you something. When I die and go to heaven, and I believe I'm going to die and go to heaven. I know I'm going to die. But I believe I'm going to go to heaven with the simple intent. And Lord, forgive me in advance. When I find Eve, I'm going to whoop her tail. I'm going to whoop Eve's tail for the curse she put on us. Because we were not made initially to be in pain of any kind to give birth. But that was our punishment because of Eve. That's what she left for us as a legacy. Pain in childbearing. And that is the worst pain. But I swear before God and 3 other folks that are responsible. I ain't going to do it in front of irresponsible people. But when I get to heaven, I'm going to mollywop Eve's ass all over heaven. All up and down the streets of gold. I'm going to whoop her tail up and down the streets of gold. Because that is the pain that is the worst imaginable pain. No man could ever take this pain. Yes, we were, weren't we, Millionaires Code, in deep conversation. But it was a good live. Good live. But this poor woman started, of course, they're rushing to another hospital, and she starts having this baby in the car. And the spouse, partner, whatever, no, they can't take that pain, honey. Men are the protectors, men are the providers, but they cannot take that kind of pain. Sometimes they can't catch a cold. Honey, I don't feel good. Could you give me a hot rag? Could you give me a cold rag on my forehead? I don't feel good. Man, you get one of them pains. They make you stand straight up and salute. Oh, Beverly, you had 6. See, God bless you. After 2, I told that doctor, if you don't tie this stuff up, you're going to take the next one home with you. I'm not playing. I had 2 boys. I promised myself one would have somebody to play with. Isn't that awful, millionaires? You hit the nail on the head with that one. Millionaires Cove said, Auntie, who would have thought that pain would be so bad? That is the worst pain ever. Cheney the clown, this ain't the place to be the clown, okay? Now sit back and chill. Have a seat. Don't come in here with that bullshit, okay? Thank you. But this poor young lady is in labor, has her baby in the car, and of course the hospital that turned her away. You should hear this excuse they gave her. In a statement from Franciscan Health Crown Point, President and CEO Raymond Grady says that the physician and nurse involved in Mercedes' care are no longer employed by the hospital. And also stated that cultural competency training has been mandated for all labor and delivery staff, and all pregnant patients leaving the labor and delivery unit will be examined before leaving the hospital. Oh, that's reassuring now. I could have died having my baby, and you saw her online, huh? Man, I hope, everything went well for her, but this hospital needs to be held accountable. The hell with this training. You need to start addressing something a little bit more deeper than cultural competency training. That's a cop-out. That's such a cop-out. This has been going on in the Black community for decades, if not centuries. It is sickening. I remember my grandmother telling me a story about a little girl that was in the bed next to her. Now, back then, my grandmother was fairly old. When she had my dad, it was 1936. And she was in Harlem Hospital. There was a little 11-year-old girl in the bed next to her in labor. They never tended to that little girl. And my grandmother, she's already in labor herself. She can't just get up and out of the bed and tend to this young lady. But it wasn't even a young lady. This was a little girl, 11 years old. 11 years old. Now, I'm sure how she got that way is a totally different life right there. I wouldn't be surprised if it was some older man that knocked her up. Yes, it does feel like your soul is being ripped out, Millionaires Cove. But I tell you, our healthcare system, they need to do something about this racial disparity in healthcare for Black women that are having children. There's pregnancy-related deaths in our community that are skyrocketing as we speak, that are not touching other cultures. I don't know what their reason for it is. You know, it's got some sort of racism attached to it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. None whatsoever. And for those that didn't see this, I'm just going to share a little, because there was a couple of videos done on this. And it almost made me cry to see this young lady in such pain being escorted out of the hospital emergency room. It was a travesty. It really was. Hold on just a second. Hold on just a second. Okay, so this is Crown Point, Indiana. Her name is Mercedes Wells. And her family took a video of her as they were leaving the hospital. Okay, and I'm just going to show a snippet from Don Lemon's platform. Let me share this for you. Being put out in active labor. Hi, Terry. Can you imagine going into the hospital to have your baby and they roll you out to tell you that you're not ready yet? You're already dilated at 3 centimeters. And they roll you out. They tell you to leave the hospital. This is a travesty. And this is how they're doing Black women all over this country. This ain't just in Indiana. This is all over the place. And there's so many young ladies out here dying in labor because they're not taken serious in terms of whether or not they're in pain or anything like that. Hold on just a second. You know what? I didn't even bring it up on the platform. Hold on. Hold on just a second. Hold on. Okay. Now I can add it. Excuse me. Okie dokie. Here we go. And I'm going to turn this up because it's kind of low. So I want you guys to all be able to hear. And this background music's too loud. Let me just shut that up for a second. Okay, here we go.
Yes, you talk about my uterus. My daughter's in active labor, and this is a Franciscan Crown Point being put out in active labor.
Did you hear her mother? Put a 1 in the chat if you heard her mother's voice. Her mother is recording this. Poor lady. She had a beautiful baby. But this poor woman Terry, you saw the interview with Polly. I'm glad you seen it. It was interesting, huh? Yes, okay. I'm glad you guys could hear. Thank you, Urban, for 10 more. You know what? Last night, I saw that you put more memberships in the chat, and I didn't get a chance to thank you. I got so engulfed in what we were talking about. So I apologize for not acknowledging the second set you gave last night. But anyone that receives a membership from Urban Media Productions, please, 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 please thank her. Thank her so much. I thank you so much, Urban. Hi, Catherine Powell. How are you, sweetie? Okay, let me start this back up again.
So we got to transfer her to a different hospital.
I had to transfer her to a different hospital.
God, but that is Mercedes Wells.
Oh, I would be fit to be tied. I am so fit to be tied watching it. Just watching it. Let me move that from the stage. That is a travesty. It really is. The audacity that they would do that to a human being. So, it gets better. It gets better. That was just a piece of the clip from Don Lemon's show. And then to go further on, I want to make sure I pull the right one up.
The family says 8 minutes after leaving the hospital, a baby girl was born.
Isn't she beautiful? Urban, thank you so much again for another 5 memberships. You are such a blessing, sweetheart. Thank you. They misdiagnosed. They sure did, Millionaire's Cove. 8 minutes from the time she left that hospital to the time she gave birth. Her partner turned around and saw his baby's head coming out. He had to jump out and help. And again, I'm glad you said that, Millionaire's Cove, because they do have an attorney. And I certainly hope that they take legal steps against that hospital, because this was ridiculous. This was ridiculous. I know it's a wonderful time. The pain is over. But to look back and see how you were treated, like you were just excess baggage. It's a travesty. And this is a travesty that's been going on in this country for way too long. Way too long. I'm sure at least 2 or 3 people in this chat right now know someone who lost someone in childbirth. If you don't know that person directly, I'm sure you know someone who knew someone that was that passed away in childbirth. And I'm talking about young, vibrant, strong black women that are not given the correct treatment that they give other folks. Hello, light. Hello, ceiling. It's a sad set of circumstances when we got to go on, scream from the rafters. Racism is bad enough in this country as a whole against the entire black race, but it just seems that black women specifically get a humongous part of it that no one else gets. See, we get the double whammy because we have to compete with white women and black men in terms of racial bias. There's two things against you. Because remember, when two women are competing for the same job, I'll use that as an example. When two women are competing for the same job, women are considered minorities too, statistically in the workforce. I used to work in HR, and when they would give us those statistics, they showed how many men, how many white men, how many black men, how many women, how many Asian, but there was never a column for black women. They just threw the black women in the bucket with the white women. But there's a different situation here because then it becomes an issue between the white woman and the black woman, and they don't document any specific racial disparities when it comes down to women competing against other women. And let's be real about it. A lot of those jobs went to white women over black women. So we got a double whammy to worry about. Catherine Powell, let me put that up, hon. Catherine says that famous judge's daughter-in-law died because she was treated so horrible during the birthing process. It's so ridiculous. And it don't matter how much money you got. It's the bias. It's the bias that they have in the medical field. Very biased. Millionaire's Cove said, Auntie, yes, they need to get compensated for that pain and putting her life in jeopardy. Exactly. And the life of the baby. Oh my, Kay Fully Loved. Hello, Auntie Mickey in chat. The same thing happened near me in Mesquite, Texas a few days before this incident to another young black lady. It was horrible and heartbreaking to watch that video also. I think I have that video, love. I think I have that video. Let me see if I can pull that up. That was also in... I think I can grab that
the hospital
after I finish
says they're
this
now
one.
taking action. In a new statement from Franciscan Health Crown Point President and CEO Raymond Grady.
Okay, hold on just a second. This is an interview, I believe. Yes. The hospital is trying to, look good now. Let me share this with you. Oh, come on. What did I just do? Here we go, struggle streaming again. Y'all put a 1 in the chat if you can hear this. I'm going to start it up now.
Raymond Grady, he announced that first, the physician and nurse involved in Mercedes' care are no longer employed by the hospital. He also said cultural competency training has now been mandated for all labor and delivery staff, and all pregnant patients leaving the labor and delivery unit will be examined by a physician before they leave the hospital. Grady called the videos difficult to watch, and he wrote, "We must fix what failed in our hospital so that no one experiences what happened to Mercedes Wells." Mercedes Wells is with us now, along with her husband, Leon Wells, and their attorney, Cannon Lambert. Welcome.
Now, of course, this is Mercedes and her, I believe they said spouse. I might totally space out on that part. This is their attorney. And this seems to be, like I said, a bigger problem than we already thought. So let's see what they plan to do about this.
To you all. Mercedes, let me start with your reaction to the announcement from the hospital that the doctor and nurse directly involved with your care are out.
First of all, it took a while, to get them to respond to us and to acknowledge what the facility had done to me.
And when they say that the doctor involved in your care is out, I read that you don't even know who this doctor is. You never met a doctor.
Exactly. Never seen her face. No doctor ever spoke or came into my room.
So let's start at the beginning here. It's about midnight. Your contractions start. Tell me the story as you arrive at the hospital.
Now, mind you, she didn't have a specific doctor assigned to her. Like many women do, they already have a OBGYN that will be on standby for when that woman goes into labor. In her case, she didn't have that. So I'm not understanding how they could tell her the doctor and the nurse assigned to you don't work here anymore. Okay, what do they mean by that? Did they were they gone before she came there? Did they get fired because they didn't treat her? I'm not understanding what that's supposed to mean. If somebody can enlighten me, sometimes I'm a little slow, but it just doesn't make sense to me how they can justify this by saying your doctor and nurse are no longer working here. But this is a hospital. They're not the only doctor and nurse here in this hospital. Nobody else could tend to her. They just didn't want to. Let's be real about it.
As I get to the hospital, they come down about 10 minutes later. First of all, I called ahead. I called maybe 20 minutes ahead before we got there. And when we got there, I still had to go through the questioning of, who my doctor was and all the details. When they came and got me, I was already 15 minutes apart in my contractions. So I was already in active labor. She checked me. She told me that I was 3 centimeters dilated. My contractions began to get closer and closer as the day went on. She checked me again, and she said she felt the baby's head, but I was still 3 centimeters after 6 hours of labor.
6 hours of labor. They check her. They can feel the baby's head. And they sent her away. Did they not understand what they were sending her out to do? They sent her out to have that baby on the side of the road. That you can't tell me that no medical professional in their right mind would send a woman out if they can go up and literally feel the baby's head. 3 centimeters is what they told her. But they were able to feel that baby's head. And they sent her out. This is disgusting. But it's becoming very more and more common.
Then she told me I had to be relieved from the hospital.
And so when they told you had to be released from the hospital, talk to me about the moment of conflict where you knew, because this is not your first child, this baby is coming. And they said, no, you have to leave. Talk to me about that conversation.
Yes, the nurse told me that I had to be discharged because I wasn't further along in my centimeters. And even though she could feel the baby head, I wasn't dilated more than 3 centimeters. But I know for a
Lord
fact
have mercy.
that had to be untrue because I couldn't feel her hand at that point
Hmm.
when she checked me.
And Leon, you're there. You know that your wife is about to have this baby, and they say you've got to go. What's going through your mind?
When they said we had to go, I didn't want to be there. Like, I know we wasn't wanted. I was concerned about the safety of my wife and my child as they're saying that, even though I know my wife was in active labor. So I immediately, got myself together. I was very upset.
Can you imagine? Oh, see, he held it together. He really did. I commend this young man. I commend him because I know a few men in my family, my husband being one of them. Had that happened to us, I don't know if he'd be preaching right now. He might be preaching in prison. I think he'd be preaching, but he would be preaching in prison right now. So I commend this brother right here. That's a hard pill to swallow when your wife is being mistreated like that. A real man is a protector, the provider and the protector, and to see his wife being mistreated like that, and in turn he's also being mistreated because that's his wife, that's their baby about to be born, and they're told to leave. You've got to leave. You're not dilated enough, which was pretty much a lie. She had to be dilated more than 3. Millionaire's Cove said that nurse wasn't trained properly to know to measure her centimeters, or she just didn't care. And I'm willing to bet, Millionaire's Cove, I ain't gonna lie, I'm sure that the latter is the case. She didn't care. It's something about when black women are in a health care situation. It could even be a mental health situation. Look what happened to Sonia Massey. They're not taken seriously, and they're cast aside like it's not important. But this is going rampant in the healthcare community. Oh, they're too dramatic, yeah, it hurts, but it's not that bad. That's not for you to decide. You don't feel someone else's pain. You're supposed to be there to comfort and provide care for human beings, not based on the color of their skin or how dramatic you think they might be acting. See, I need to calm down because I get mad too easy.
But by God's grace, I was able to, keep a calm head and try to get my wife to the next location,
Well, the baby came before you got to that next location. Tell me about that, Leon.
That was a very stressful moment. I don't have any prior doctor experience. I no training. We in my truck, and it was just a very scary moment. I mean, I literally we was driving down the road, and I saw my wife. My wife is, pulling her pants down. She's like, "Babe, I gotta push. And as she's pulling her pants down, I see my child's head, and I was kind of freaking out at the moment, but I kind of gathered myself. And when I gathered myself, I literally kind of, I don't know. I just thought I needed to help. Like, I literally kind of helped and put my fingers between my child's head, and I pulled as she pushed, and my baby came out.
Do you see how emotional this man is right now? I mean, he's at the verge of tears just thinking about it. So imagine when it was actually happening. Imagine what was going through this man's head. This is his wife. This is his child coming into the world. And he's at a loss, but God gave him the strength to step in and do what he had to do. That wasn't nobody but God. I'm going to say that again. That wasn't nobody but God that guided that man's hands into doing exactly what he needed to do. He said he had no training. But there's some things that, yes, he is Mr. Phillips. He jumped in there and he did exactly what he was supposed to do. And God gave him the strength to do so.
And
And so, Mercedes, how is the baby?
She's doing well now.
Okay, well, that's good to
Yeah.
hear. Cannon, let me bring you in here. You are their attorney. You and the Wellses have called for action and accountability. I said at the top of the show that the nurse and the doctor are out. Does that separation, because we don't know if they resigned or if they were fired, they didn't clarify there. Does that satisfy that for you?
So I think it's important that we speak with clarity. It would be a good thing that they let us know that they have been fired, terminated. It would be a good thing that they let us know that the individuals who inserted themselves as employees in this situation get terminated also.
Mm-hmm.
They have a culture problem. And what it is, the only thing they can do in terms of addressing that is to stamp out those people who participated in this, watched this happen, and did nothing.
That's the problem. Whenever something like this goes down, I don't know how many of you have been in the workforce, but when something like this goes down, there's always the act, and then no one does anything, and then they come out to throw a Band-Aid on the situation and say, we're going to provide training. We fired them. Okay, we fired them. So be happy about that. Okay, first of all, they weren't even clear as to when they were fired. They weren't clear in the beginning as to whether or not there was a doctor or nurse even on staff. So in listening to this again, it appears as though that's the solution to her problem is that they fired the nurse and the doctor. Okay, well, firing the nurse and the doctor, who else was complicit in not meeting the needs of this girl, this woman who is in labor? Hi, Polly. How are you, sweetheart? Who else was complicit? Was the doctor even made aware that she was out there in labor? Was the nurse made aware? Someone was complicit. I say all of them. But it's funny how when these situations happen, the first thing they want to do is throw up the training thing. Oh, we're gonna provide training. We're gonna provide training for racial disparities and blah 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 blah. Like that's gonna help. Training don't mean nothing. Training don't mean nothing when it's a learned mentality. You can't train somebody out of looking at another race of people as less than yourself. There's no level of training that can fix that. Rachel Haynes says, when I had my daughter in the 90s, in the 96, this racist nurse was trying to start an IV on me and my blood splattered on her and she requested that I have an HIV test. Wow. And I'm sure she said it real nasty too. Hold on just a second. I'll be right back, y'all. I got a little situation out here. Okay, sorry about that. I had to step away for a second. But yeah, this is the norm. This kind of behavior amongst professional medical staff. There's no level of training that's going to take that bias out of their mentality. I don't care what they say. So maybe the next step is to make sure that those individuals are personally held accountable, not only by just losing their jobs. Maybe they could be sued as well. If there was something that could be done to institute possible, you know, being held accountable as an individual in that practice, because this practice is nothing to play with. You're playing with people's lives. You're playing with people's lives. And I'm sorry that happened to you, sweetheart. Rachel, you didn't deserve that. Hold on just a second.
We're looking to meet with them, and we're glad that they finally reached out to us. We're looking forward to that meeting. We want to understand when they say they failed in various ways, we want them to tell us how they failed, because I want to mesh that with what we believe they failed to do and make sure that we're on the same page so that policies can be changed so that this doesn't happen anymore.
Policies change. Should I expect, or do you expect, there will be a lawsuit filed?
I think they have control over that. If they do what's right, then I know this family will be happy to see that they've done what's right. This family decided early on that they wanted to try and be a voice for people, not just themselves. And that's their goal.
I want to read just the last line from the statement from the president of this hospital. He says, "We've reached out to the family, and it's my hope to meet in person with them very soon." I hear from Kenan that is something that can happen. What do you want to come from that meeting, Mercedes?
I want change to come. Overall, you know, the United States to be impacted so strongly that there is truly a change, and we see the change very soon.
I am so sorry I was muted. Now I hope I can remember what I just said, because it was good. One thing that we're going to have to come to terms with is that we have to do more than just sit on YouTube and make videos about it, doing live streams about it and talking about it and watching it on the news and things of that nature. We have got to start as people concerned, whether you're black, white, Jew, Gentile, doesn't matter. If you see something, say something. Excuse me. I'm choking on this chicken. We need to get out and start doing more than just talking. Legislation needs to be passed to protect these situations. And we see it happening, but we're just sitting here watching it happen. It's been happening for so long that it's become normal. And this is not normal. I bet if she was a white woman and they did that to her, all hell would have broke loose and then some. Let's be real. So steps are going to need to be taken, because this is getting old and decrepit. It really is. And enough is enough. Enough women have lost their lives because of this bias attitude. This, oh, I'm not racist. Well, your behavior is. The way that you're conducting yourself on the job is. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not. And they very well may not feel that they're racially biased. But it's a learned behavior. Now, if they want to have some kind of training about that, incorporate that into it. Incorporate that into self-realization is the biggest teacher. I'd rather look in the mirror and take a good look at myself and my faults than to have some guy standing up in front of me teaching me how I should know or think. God gave us all plain and common sense. And it doesn't matter if you're racist or not. You know if you're wrong. You know if you're wrong.
Yeah, and there needs to be a change broadly, and I'm not speaking specifically about this hospital or case, but Black women have the highest rate of maternal mortality in the country. Latest numbers from the CDC, 50 per 100,000 live births, multiples of what we see for white mothers, Hispanic mothers. It's far worse in Indiana. 156 per 100,000 live births. That's according to the Indiana University and the State Health Department. In that context, Mercedes, how does the hospital's admitted failure inform the crisis we're seeing around the country?
Inform the crisis. They need to speak up. It's a huge disparity. Informing them that this is really a huge issue is step one, and now they have to seek action and make a change.
Mercedes, Leon, attorney Kenan Lambert, and your baby's name, are you saying that publicly yet?
Yes, Alina.
Alina, and to Alina this morning, thank you all for your time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
So that was just the first example, but there's more. There was a young lady who was in Texas. I didn't catch her name, but Mesquite, Texas. And this mother was made to wait in the emergency room for 30 minutes. And the behavior, the attitude from the receptionist, the intake receptionist in that emergency room was so crass and just nasty. I'll just say nasty. They paid more attention to the paperwork, the intake questions. They put more emphasis on worrying about that than worrying about this woman who was clearly in excruciating pain in that hospital. She's sitting in a wheelchair, literally screaming. And they're more concerned about the intake forms. "12 minutes later, she gave birth. 12 minutes. Let me find this video. Hold on just a second. I gotta skip over all this talk. I mean, to listen to them talk would be nice too, but I don't want to get into the copyright strike or none of that, or them shutting my channel down, or shutting down my live stream. Okay, this is good enough. Hold on just a second.
It's like, you get that, you know what I mean? And then she's just sitting there and just keeps asking questions. Mm-hmm. And the woman is like, and look, they posted this publicly. Normally we would not put this up, but they want people to know. Right. And I believe these two families want people to know. They believe that this illustrates the disparities in healthcare for women of color. And she's just
Dallas Regional Medical Hospital in Mesquite, Texas. Her son was born 12 minutes later. This woman had her in the waiting area more than 30 minutes. The delivery was awful. Now, this was put out publicly, according to Don Lemon. Otherwise, they wouldn't have aired it.
Sitting there just sort of asking, like, blah, 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 blah. And the woman is like, look, and then can I just say this, because you said you have your own stories. Because if you think that this just happens to, just average people who don't have resources, I want you to look at the women who have spoken publicly about the exact same thing. First of all, Dr. Frida, Serena Williams.
Yes.
Nearly died after childbirth because her care team didn't act on her symptoms of a pulmonary embolism until she insisted on a scan. Then there was Beyonce, who's talked about developing severe preeclampsia with her twins and needing an emergency C-section to protect her life and her babies. And then I don't know if you guys know of Allison Felix, who is an Olympian, I believe, one of the fastest women in the world. She developed severe preeclampsia at 32 weeks and also needed an emergency C-section. Later said that she understood the statistics for Black women, but never imagined that she would almost become one of them.
I thought she died.
It seems like everybody has a story.
Somebody
This
died.
is not anything that's unusual.
Right. And I'm glad that people with influence, celebrities, share their stories. So people.
That's where we have to understand that this ain't about money. This ain't even got nothing to do with money. They just named Serena Williams. They named Beyonce and one other individual that is out there, of notoriety. It doesn't matter how much money you have, but there's a natural, deep-seated bias against Black women in the medical area when it comes to birth, health care for your pregnancy, and I don't understand it. I don't understand it. But then in the same token, I do when I look at it in a spiritual eye. That this is when it comes down to adding more of us to the world. Of course, there's others out there that don't want that. Turn mic on. You can't hear me, Donna? Donna, I think you're going to have to push your cursor all the way to the end. I think you're far behind in the chat. Yeah, Donna's watching this from back there. So it's definitely not just about prestige. It's about the race that is being affected.
Will understand. Going back as far as 2003, there was a study from the Institute of Medicine that looked at Black people and racial minorities, comparing them with white people in general. And they found that in general, you would have inferior care with Black and brown people. And in that study, they corrected for money, for income, for education. There's just something about what's going on in the system where it feels like it's okay to healthcare providers to discredit women. And just what you said about that nurse, her voice was so cold, so emotionless. She was prioritizing paperwork over a person. And for it to be caught on tape, it just makes what's really happening more real. Yeah.
What would you have done in that situation if someone was there screaming like that?
Oh my gosh. The priority is the patient. You get her to the room, you triage, you get everyone in, and you figure out the paperwork later. I mean, you have her in there. She's in labor. She's not going to run away with the free delivery. And you show compassion. She didn't even say, oh, I know you're having a hard time. Oh, but I have to get through these questions. She showed no humanity. No humanity. Yes, you always prioritize life, decency, and that nurse didn't have it.
And speaking of what you said, and then she said, and that's not just this nurse. That's according to the mom who was there. She said it started before they even got into the emergency room. It started when they pulled up. Here's the mom.
My daughter went into active labor at home. We took her to the hospital. She called ahead of time, so we know they are expecting us.
Isn't it funny that both of these women called in advance? They called in advance. So the hospital knew they were coming. And chances are, let's be real. We're going to be real in this chat. We know 9 times out of 10, we know when we talking to one of us. Am I right? Put a 1 in the chat if you're usually able to identify one of us when you're talking to them on the phone. Tell me if you are usually able to identify one of us on the phone by putting a 1 in the chat. We know what we sound like. They know what we sound like. So there was a preconceived idea already when those young ladies called the hospital in advance and says, hey, I'm about to have this baby. I'm on my way. What you bet? What you bet? Oh, Lord, one of them coming in. You see what I'm saying? Let's be real about it. It is what it is. We know what we sound like. And we know what others sound like. Now, some of us can sound like the other side. You know, excuse me. But for the most part, they're in a position where they're in a dire strait right now. Pain is involved. Nobody's going into their white girl voice. You know, we all have that little white girl voice when we answer the phone, if we're working on a job, you know. Good afternoon, how may I help you? You know, we don't normally talk like that. When we were around our people, when we were around our friends and stuff, hey, what's happening? But you call or you get a phone call, especially if you work in reception. Good afternoon, State of Washington, how may I help you? How may I direct your call? We good at that. We good at that. But listen, in a situation like this, they're not calling the hospital saying, excuse me, but I am in very, very high discomfort and I am about to give birth to my 3rd, 4th child. And I was just calling to let you know that I'm on my way. It didn't go down like that, trust me. Sister girl was like, oh, shit. I'm on my way. Just make sure my doctor's here. Oh my God. We already know. They exactly, Mr. Phillips. They had time to get the staff together and deliver that baby, but they knew who was coming. They knew who was coming because they called in advance. Sister Soldier called in advance. Yo, man, look, this shit hurts. You know how we get when we are in distress. I know me. I know. I be ready to come through the phone. What's taking you so long to answer the phone? What took you so damn long? You know, because in a situation like that, you're not clearly thinking. You're in pain. You are anxious. You're about to expel a human being from your body. Let me stop. Let me go back to this video.
However, we get there to the emergency room. We watching nurses, you know, putting gloves on, running to the door. They get outside of the door, and I drive a black SUV, and they look at my vehicle, and one of the nurses come up to the window, and she goes, I'm sorry, this is for ambulance only. I said, well, my daughter is in active labor. And she was like, okay, she said, but you're going to have to go to the front.
Doctor?
It's systemic. It's systemic. So yes, we saw that nurse with the poor interpersonal relationship, but this is how systems are developed. When you're dealing with implicit bias, it's not only about the patients, it's about the healthcare providers. When you have systems who perceive perhaps Black healthcare providers, Black nurses, Black doctors as being intellectually inferior, then who's going to get promoted? who's going to be in decision-making positions? It's going to be other people who have those same ideals. And so, yes, that nurse is not operating in a vacuum. Had she been mentored and taught how to treat people and what is not unacceptable, that wouldn't have happened. And so we're talking about labor here. But I remember when I did my med peds, my internal medicine pediatrics residency in Georgetown, I would deal a lot with sickle cell patients, right? And most patients with sickle cell disease are of African descent. They're Black patients. Depending on where I was practicing, which ER I was rotating through, some people would be like, we got a sickler. They automatically assume that you have someone who's a drug addict, someone who is exaggerating.
We got a sickler. That's a real foul thing to say for someone who has sickle cell. Sickle cell anemia, even though it has made huge steps over the generations, there was a time where you wasn't expected to live past 18 if you had sickle cell. And now people are living much past that. However, it's still very debilitating. You have sickle cell, Polly? Lord have mercy, bless your heart. It's debilitating. I'm so sorry to hear that, love. I had family that died of sickle cell. Two family members passed away from sickle cell. One at the time, she was 19 when she passed. And then the uncle was going on 40. He lived fairly, I'd say about 35. But it's an awful thing to have. And, to label them as, that pisses me off. It really does.
And the treatment, you can just see it. But one way to prevent things like this, the implicit bias, the structural racism from showing through, is to have protocols, Black and white protocols. And that's just one way that we can implement things, and that we do implement things in the system in order to prevent people from having their bias. But it is throughout. I'm talking about even with children. There was a study showing that when you look at children with appendicitis, Black children received less appropriate pain control, pain medications than white children. Across all ages, darker patients are perceived in these replicated studies of having a higher pain tolerance, which means that their pain is dismissed.
There you have it. There's this preconceived notion that believes that darker skinned people have a higher pain tolerance, which is a lie. It's a lie from hell. It's a lie from hell. And hence, even the children, they're not considered as much of an emergency as say a white child that has the same level of pain, because they're not perceived to be high in tolerance. But it's all bullshit. It's all based on some bullshit that's been passed off from back in slavery days. They figured Black folks was animals and property, and hence we're in the same boat right now. It's just on a different level. We're more sophisticated with it. It's sickening. Polly, I don't mean to get personal, because you said you have sickle cell. I had a friend that passed away from sickle cell, and by the time he passed away, he was consuming quite a bit of morphine for the pain. So is that something that are you at that level, or are you not at that level? Because it was awful to see him suffer. It really was. Anybody that has a disease, and I don't even call it a disease, I just call it a condition. Something that you had no input as to, whether or not you got it. There was nothing you could have prevented. That was passed on to you, and you're dealing with a pain that you didn't ask for. It's not like, a choice that you made. You know, nobody chooses to be sick, but some people, you know, they make bad choices and they end up sick. They tried to put me on opioids. I chose cannabis. There you go. And I agree with you on that one, Polly. I really do. In my own experience, I had someone in my family who was diagnosed bipolar, and all they did was experiment. Let's try this drug. Let's try that drug. Let's try this drug. And in the meantime, can't function. So what does he end up doing? He turned to cannabis. And that balanced him out in a way that he could function. So I completely understand what you're saying on that one. Wow. Hi, Chandra Sparkle. Oh, you right on time. Even if you're late, you right on time. You can always see the replay. I'm glad you showed up, sweetie. Let me get back to the video.
And what is less humane than reducing someone and ignoring their pain?
Less fragile. The lighter folks are less fragile than the darker. I mean, the black folks are less fragile than the white folks. White
Oh,
kids,
she can take it. Oh, she's being dramatic. Oh, she's being hysterical.
Yep.
You know, back in the day, they used to have the babies in the field. It goes back to, I'm telling you, the vestiges of slavery. And so when people always say, oh, get over it, you know, we're out of Jim Crow, we're out of slavery, the wounds are still here and they're unhealed and they're being taught and they're being recycled. And that's why I'm so happy to bring light to this issue. And I love that mother who said, do you treat all your patients like this or just the black ones? It's like she was trying to turn a light switch on in that nurse, just in case she didn't realize that she was, you know, discriminating. But that's what was happening. I have no doubt.
Luckily, thankfully, there were two good outcomes. First, this is the mom in Indiana. They show her. This is her right after she gave birth in the car. Here it is. What I didn't say was that the dad was driving and caught the baby as he's driving in the car, because that one happened 8 minutes later. And then the other one in Texas was 12 minutes later.
Yep.
And this is their outcome.
Hey guys, I'm here with Mom and baby Cash.
Oh,
They are doing well. He has a doctor's appointment tomorrow.
his name is Cash. Oh, that is. Wait a minute. It says on here, why was her amniotic fluid green? That's interesting. I can't read the top, but he's precious though.
At the pediatric center, it's a lot of concerns. They taking tests on him. He still have to go through several other tests down the line because he was born with his eyes open, and due to the stress and trauma that occurred in the triage area, the baby had a bowel movement in Mom, and the fluids was green. And like I said, he born with his eyes open. So they are, you know, taking all that in consideration as well.
Okay. Can you talk to us about that? Because that is the stress of that, right? Go on.
I've never heard of that before. However, can you imagine? I mean, honestly, the stress that mother went through is what caused that to happen to the baby. The baby was, whatever stress the mother's going through, the baby is going to automatically go through that same stress. Period. So this baby had a bowel movement while still inside the mother. And the baby's eyes were open, so that had some kind of an effect on the eyes, and the amniotic fluid was green. He had a bowel movement. It's a wonder that baby came out as together as it did. I mean, he did. I'm sorry. But God is good.
I'm mad, let me tell you. So this takes me back to when I would do the NICU, neonatal ICU rotations, and dealing with newborn babies. When labor and delivery would have a baby that was stressed, of course, in the hospital, not on I-75, even in the hospital, when they realize they're having a stressful delivery and there is meconium, and that's what she's describing, a stressed baby who has a bowel movement in utero, okay, before the baby's born. If they have a bowel movement, we call that meconium. Meconium is literally feces. And so what happens if the baby takes the feces in, eats it, it's in their eyes? They can get septic, they can get infection. And so we would go in, we would take care of those babies. A lot of those babies are born with low oxygen. They definitely need antibiotics. And this is in a controlled situation.
Wow.
And so what they did was they increased the likelihood of that baby having an overwhelming infection, and they're increasing that baby's risk of being very sick or possibly not being here. And so the poor treatment of that young lady in particular could have taken the life of her baby, including herself. And then I think about the other complications. It's not incredibly uncommon for a baby to be born with a cord around the neck.
Exactly.
We used to have the babies delivered, they have the cords, they be blue. And with all of our medical expertise, more than one pediatrician at a time, we'd be, doing all the maneuvers to make sure that the baby's okay. Imagine being in a car with your husband with one hand on the wheel, one hand on the baby, complications going on, and you're not even a physician. How do you tell someone that their life doesn't matter without telling?
Can you imagine? Oh my God, that father. That's right, Millionaires Coke, but God intervened in that, because can you imagine if that baby would have been born breech? Or if that baby had the cord wrapped around his throat, do you think that father would be able to do, to jump into action the way he did? And that was just a normal birth from the head coming out. But there's always going to be something that you need to keep your eye on when a child is coming into this world. They don't just automatically pop out the same. There's all kinds of situations that happen in labor. And to turn that woman away, in the case of Mercedes, in turning her away, she could have been in all kinds of situations and didn't know it. In a car. The other lady, she's sitting in the emergency room. Her body is stressing because she's in such pain. This baby is trying to come out. And they don't say it as much, but that's even stressful just for the baby's birth. The birth of the baby on its own is stressful. And add all the stress from the mother on top of it. And of course, he had a bowel movement. That was a regular reaction. I hope they sue the shit out of them.
Telling them their life doesn't matter. You send them out of the hospital in active labor. There definitely need to be some repercussions for this.
That's
and I'm glad that you mentioned this nurse is not operating in a vacuum. If they do more research, they're going to find, more likely than not, a culture of disregard for certain patients.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dr. Frida mentioned this, but Black women in America are 3 to 4 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes than white women.
Yeah.
Not because of biology, not because of income, because of bias, because of disbelief, because when a Black woman says something is wrong, too often she's treated like that she's exaggerating, that she's emotional, or it's not urgent. And you see that in both of these videos. One in Indiana, you're not far enough along. And then in Texas, we need to finish this paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
And so start believing what's in front of your eyes. Start believing Black women and start treating them like humans in any, not just when they're delivering, but in any medical situation. Dr. Frida, thank you very much. I appreciate you joining.
It's always a pleasure.
Let us know what you think in the comments.
And it's not just in, like he said, it's not just in the cases of having a child or being in labor. In all kinds of circumstances, They want to look at black women as being, oh, they're being melodramatic. Oh, they're just ghetto. Oh, they're ratchet. Oh, they're just hyping up. Fuck around and find out. When something happens to that woman and you're faced with a lawsuit that you can't handle. They better figure it out. They better figure it out. I'm telling you. There's some statistics that I need to go over with you just to share this, because this is no fly by night. Oh, they're complaining again. Here they go, complaining again. No, this is not complaining again. This is something that's been going on for a long time. It says here, according to WTTW News, a PBS station, research shows racial disparities in pregnancy-related deaths. What's being done to address it? Now, this is what we need to pay attention to. What is being done to address it? New research shows the rate of women dying from pregnancy-related medical conditions has worsened in recent years. You would think that it would get better by now, but it's not. It's getting worse. And black women are 3 times as likely to die of such an illness as white women. This comes at a time when the very agencies charged with reducing these deaths are facing cuts from the Trump administration. Imagine that. Earlier this month, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services laid off 10,000 federal workers, including people in the department tasked with monitoring and improving maternal and child health at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC. I know that with the information that we've come across regarding black maternal health, really, we are just touching the surface, said Denise Banton, director of Rush University Medical Center, Labor and Delivery and Postpartum Units. There are so many things that still need to be addressed. Banton said Rush works closely with community health partners to continue to address health disparities within the black community. A recent study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association shows that the rate of maternal mortality not only increased by 27.7% from 2018 to 2022, but that the racial disparities also widened, with black women having the second highest rate at 2.8 times higher than white women, behind Native American women at 3.8 times higher. Previous studies showed consistent increases in maternal mortality in the U.S. compared to other high-income countries. The U.S. has significantly higher maternal mortality rate. However, the recent JAMA study focused on long-term health up to a year postpartum. That's right, Millionaires Code. There needs to be more comprehensive education, culturally appropriate education from the doctor to explain the potential pitfalls, said Tony Taylor, co-founder of Chicago Birthworks Collective. Those touch points need to be visited frequently throughout gestation, throughout the delivery, and throughout the postpartum period. Chicago Birthworks Collective is a maternal wellness company that provides full-circle doula care on the city's south side. Doulas provide non-medical, emotional, physical, nutritional, and informational support to pregnant people before, during, and after pregnancy. Last year, Cook County Health launched a program aimed at connecting pregnant patients with doulas in an effort to address high rates of maternal mortality and birth complications. We still have a long way to go, said Mekazin Alexander, co-founder and executive director of BANIA. However, I would like to commend Governor Pritzker and Lieutenant Governor Stratton for recognizing the importance of organizations that are community-based and culturally congruent that are working to reduce the maternal mortality rate. Our medical health care systems need to follow suit and allow birth workers the opportunity to work alongside them and not see us as a threat. Advocates in the community also stress the importance of wraparound services for pregnant patients and say a lack of adequate resources contributes to preventable health complications during pregnancy. Fewer grocery stores on the south and west side make it more difficult for people to access food, said Jamaica Sampson, Senior Director of Community Health and Equity for Planned Parenthood of Illinois. PPIL initiated a Bridges to Care program at 3 of its health centers, Flossmoor, Austin, and Roseland. The program provides prenatal visits with a nurse practitioner and a prenatal case manager and connects patients with obstetricians to avoid extended wait times. However, there have been cases of patients who have a high economic and education status who are still subject to high-risk births and pregnancy, like Serena Williams, who experienced complications during childbirth, or Olympic sprinter Tori Bowie, who died during childbirth. That's the one I was thinking of. She passed. Olympic sprinter Tori Bowie, who died during childbirth. Oftentimes, they say that the answer to a lot of the maternal statistics is education, Taylor said. That's not one-sided. You can just educate a mom. You can't just educate a mom. The education of a mom is not going to stop the medical trauma that happens at the hospital. Until there is a reform, a retraining, and a relearning of medical staff and being held accountable, and policies being changed, I don't really see this changing. That's pretty bad. If they don't start doing something drastic, more women are going to die, more babies are going to die, and more healthcare facilities are going to get shut down because they can't afford the lawsuits. Point blank, period. Make it as plain as possible. It's a sad set of circumstances that this country is in. And race is still at the base of it. LaWanda, you're not feeling well? I'm so sorry, sweetheart. You need to get some sleep. Go tuck yourself in the bed, lay down, get some rest. For real. Jump off the chat, get in the bed, go to sleep, baby. Because you need to take care of yourself as well. I'm sorry, honey. Well, with all that said, I hope that this was an informative live to some of you, if not all of you. We all have people in our lives, in our families, in our, close circles that this could have an impact on their life. We need to start standing up and demanding that laws are changing and bills are written and lawmakers are held accountable for how they serve us. We put them there. We pay their salaries. And us standing around talking about it don't mean shit. Thank you, Polly. It takes a lot more than just watching YouTube, watching Auntie Mickey talk about it, reading an article. We got to really get up and start getting mobile and opening our mouths. This isn't just something else to talk about. Nobody's going to bust a move until we make them bust a move. So, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and close the live. I thank you guys for joining me tonight. It was pretty laid back tonight. Gotta say, it was definitely different. I enjoyed it. So, again, thank you so much for coming tonight. I appreciate you. I should be back tomorrow, same time, same channel, all that good stuff. I don't know if I'm going to the casino this week, though. I'm tired. I'm tired, and so is my pocket. But with that said, I love y'all. Y'all take care now. Peace.
Hey there, my kinfolk. Thanks for stopping by. Auntie Mickey's house, where we reach for the sky. Every comment and smile, you make my heart glow. Together we're strong, together we grow. From gossip to politics, we cover it all. Sharing laughs and thoughts, having a ball. Your support means everything that I know. Feels like family here in this sweet show. So let's keep it flowing, keep the love alive. Every moment together makes me thrive. You're more than viewers, you're my kinfolk. You see, my gratitude runs deep as the sea. Thank you for being here, for sharing your time with each comment, with each rhyme. You're my kinfolk, my family, my crew. So much love to all of you. Turn up the camera, let's make it bright. Your support lifts me up, takes flight. No matter where you're from, near or far, you're our shining star. Just who you are. Stay tuned, stay strong, and keep the love inside. Auntie Mickey's house,